sides mutually agreed to part ways. And all of that brings us to right now. Over the weekend, this photo posted online by Watson's marketing agent, with Watson out in Miami, accompanied by members of the Dolphins, including two of them who were his college teammates back in his days in Clemson. And so once again, a photo can be worth a million words, at least, of speculation. And we begin with our insider, Jeff Darlington. Jeff, what should we take away from this?
I mean, I love this, Greeny. Let's preface it by saying that I love it. I love that we're talking about it. I love when we make something massive out of a social media moment, whether it's someone liking or following or posting. All that said, I think that the part about him being Clemson teammates is important. I also think it's significant that when a marketing person puts out a photo, it does not suggest that a deal is imminent. Usually when deals are imminent, the marketing people clamp down and don't tell us anything. So just take that for what it's worth. That being said, I don't want to pour water on this. I love it.
Here's the other thing that I take from it, is that when the marketing guy is putting out the photo, it suggests that they're ready to play. They're playing the game the same way the Texans are. The Texans are playing their cards, which is they're telling the world they're not trading him. And Deshaun and his side are playing their cards, which is, here's a picture of Deshaun hanging out with a bunch of Dolphins in Miami. Go ahead, world. Speculate all you want. So, Marcus, the question is this. I've had people say to me, the Dolphins, they tanked a season for Tua or whatever it was. They waited all that time. They've got the young quarterback. They just drafted him in the top 5 a year ago. They've got good pieces and are starting to build something new. Do you, Marcus Spears, believe the Dolphins should be willing to trade Tua Tagovailoa and a bunch of picks to get Deshaun Watson?
In a New York minute, absolutely, they should. Listen, this dude elevates everybody around him. We talk about a different level right now, G. Tua has development. He has things that he needs to do, which I believe Tua will eventually be a good quarterback. But guess what I already know? That Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback. We talking about a dude that lost his #1 receiver and led the league in passing. The only shining star for the Houston Texans. So when you look at this situation in this entirety, and you think about the unprecedented moment that we in with a quarterback that just signed a long-term deal in his prime, and you think about him going to another team, you ask yourself, where would he be better suited? Miami. That's been my place since the beginning. So I like the damn social media pictures, Jeff Darlington. Just like I like the Tom Ford book in the background. I like the damn Emmy in the background. I like the Nintendo in the background. The Super Flex this morning by Jeff Darlington. It's matched by the super flex of Deshaun Watson. So I love everything about it. G, speculate the hell away, because I'm going to be right there with you, speculating until Deshaun Watson is in South Beach with those ballers in Miami, and we talking about the Dolphins making an AFC playoff run. Well, look, I'm going to stay there.
A professional speculator for 30 years. I'm not going to stop now. Let me bring Saturday into the conversation on that thought. Complete this sentence, because the Dolphins have a whole bunch of draft picks they could give up, and they have the young quarterback that maybe the Texans would like to build around. So if the Dolphins were to get Deshaun Watson and not have to trade away any other current pieces on their team, Jeff, what are they next season with Deshaun Watson as their quarterback? What are the Dolphins in the AFC?
3 games better. I mean, they won 10 games this year with Deshaun Watson. They're 13, right? I mean, like, this is how important Deshaun Watson is and how good of a football player he really is. And you heard Swagoo talk about, you've traded away all his strong players. His offensive line has been mediocre. He still has played through that. I absolutely love the flex, like Swagoo's saying, man. I don't think it would have been better if he'd had that picture and then a dumpster fire picture for the Texans right beside each other. You know what I mean? That would have been the ultimate flex. That's the way I would have played the game. Hire me as your media guy, baby. I got everything you need, Deshaun Watson. I can get you out of there as quick as you want, baby. Because that cat, listen, in all seriousness, he goes to Miami. He makes them a true contender, because it's not winning games only defensively. He can win games offensively. And what makes a difference in a franchise quarterback and a great quarterback in the NFL. And you heard what I said. Franchise and great is that franchise guy gets you 2 to 3 wins a year. That is a big difference. I mean, listen, we talked about Kirk Cousins and how much money he made playing the game. Deshaun Watson wins you games. That's the difference between the franchise guy and a good quarterback in the NFL.
Okay, so that's where it begins this morning with a quarterback.
Welcome to Miami.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to Miami.
Is with a quarterback that not so many people believe in quite as much. The Carson Wentz trade saga continues, and there are people around the league who believe the Eagles will also explore options with Zach Ertz. Yesterday here on this program, Bart Scott had a bold proclamation regarding the possibility of Wentz to Chicago.
I know Wentz hasn't had the best season last year, but come on, Mitchell Trubisky, this is a great upgrade. You think about what he was. He's a guy that was sacked 50 times. We saw Patrick Mahomes become a mere mortal when he didn't have protection. Well, that's exactly what Carson Wentz had to endure in Philadelphia. If he goes to Chicago, that makes Chicago, I believe, a Super Bowl contender. Or the Colts as well.
So throwing in or the Colts as well, everybody is going to agree with. I think we all agree that maybe any of us sitting here on your screen right now could go to Indianapolis and the Colts might be a Super Bowl contender. But Jeff Darlington, let's start with the pieces here. What do we know about this trade? Because we had reason to believe there was reporting that this was imminent, and the days keep going by. What do we know is the latest on Carson Wentz?
So, Greeny, I was just having a conversation with somebody who's very close to the situation. And basically, by the way, at the end of this conversation, I don't want to bury the lead here. I said, so what's the holdup? And the answer was simple. It's February 16th. The league year doesn't even start for another month, with a lot of exclamation points on that. Mm-hmm. And that is an important point, by the way. March 19th is the date that they would owe Carson Wentz $10 million. So that's maybe the target, the runway that this team has to play with. But, you bring up the idea of, like, what is the hang-up? If there's a couple of teams out there like the Bears and the Colts that are interested in him, why wouldn't they just pull the trigger on the best deal at this point? I am told that it's not as if Carson Wentz has a no-trade clause in his contract. They don't have to really care what he thinks on this. Now, Carson Wentz can help them contractually to make the trade a more lucrative option for the potential suitor, but that doesn't have to happen. So basically, long story short, the Eagles simply have time, so they feel like they might as well just kind of milk this thing to make sure that they get the best option before they pull the trigger on a trade.
Sometimes you have to be a little careful of that, though, because there are other teams out there that might just decide to make other moves. So we'll see. This is the chess game that comes along with this carousel. So Jeff Saturday, work with me. We heard what Bart Scott said. Complete this sentence. If they get Carson Wentz, the Chicago Bears with Carson Wentz at their quarterback are what?
A playoff team. Chicago Bears, that's it. Like, they're not Super Bowl contenders, absolutely not. Like, listen, this team has a lot to improve on. I don't think Carson Wentz pushes them over the top. I mean, when you talk about what Darlington's just talking about, the Colts versus the Bears and what that looks like, listen, man, the Chicago Bears, defensively, you have their defensive coordinator who's leaving, he's retiring. They have an offensive line that was just average. They have a running back who played above grade. But it's not like Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, you bench Mitchell Trubisky because he wasn't good enough. You bring in Foles. There's too much stuff going on here with Nagy, this whole organization. I'm just telling you, if I'm Carson Wentz, I'm pumping the brakes on the Bears. It's not like they've made these offensive steps. They've regressed every year offensively in Chicago since Nagy has been there. So if you're Carson Wentz,